It took more strength to be soft than to be hard. I started out on my journey to softness, testing my calm with strangers first, then moving on to family and then the workplace. With strangers, it wasn't so bad. I knew I may never see them again in life, so their thoughts of me didn't have great significance. I spoke with a quiet voice, less demanding, more vulnerable, and the responses were mixed. Some people were receiving and others just didn't care. I guess everyone had their own life to deal with and their emotions to work through. I had to also. The responses that I did get that were genuine and heartwarming left an impression that made me want to have more of that feeling. They didn't know who I was or what I did. And I didn't know who they were either. But the interactions were different. Different from the ones I usually had. For the interactions that didn't go so well, it took all my strength. Strength to not respond in the ways I had responded in my past interactions. I felt it to my bones. I needed to say what I had to say, and I often didn't care how it came out. It had been that way for so long. But I fought it and held it back. I was trying. Trying to turn a new leaf. I needed that change. I moved on to my family members. The ones who knew me my entire life. They knew me before I became hard. Before I tackled the corporate world. Before I was a mover and a shaker. But I was not a cakewalk then either. When I brought it home, they noticed right away. They would ask, "What has gotten into you?" Ask me if I was okay and ask me what was wrong. They didn't know what was going on. At times it was a struggle. Family knows how to push your buttons. And as a person who struggles with being soft, that was not an easy task. At times, I found myself reverting and caught myself before I went too far. Although I so badly wanted to, but it was a way of being that pushed people away. I knew I could do it if I put my mind to it. It started to get easier as the days went on. My family relationships began to flourish. And more deeper communication started to occur. I learned things about my family members I had never known before. That would have never happened had I remained the way I was. They didn't feel comfortable enough to open up because of the way I had been. Been for so long, far too long. I then took it to work. I began first by making small talk without judgment with my staff. At first, they were standoffish, not knowing how to take it. They wondered if they should trust it or trust me. I started doing nice things for my staff, showing appreciation more regularly. And what I found made the greatest difference. Morale grew. Production increased. The atmosphere of the office had changed for the better. Just because of the change of being a little less rigid. I began to be a little less inflexible, more understanding. I found out people will support you and go to bat for you if they could see you were a likable person. And being hard all the time did not cut it. If I wanted people to let me in, I had to let them in and remove that hard outer shell. It takes less strength to be hard than to be compassionate and soft. Affirmations I use to enforce my mindset. I choose calm, even when I feel challenged. My response is more powerful than my reaction. Softness requires strength, and I am strong enough. I can be firm without being harsh. I trust the version of me I am becoming. And as I continue to strive for this emotional adjustment, I am not finished becoming.